What's good, Chop Nation? I forgot I'm supposed to be the one bringing it in, but here I am, just smiling and throwing the peace signs up to y'all because this is the Chop Up Show. It's your girl, Twitter G. I'm with the political plug. Plug, what's good with you?
What's good? What's good? You caught on quick though. Like you caught on.
You-
Yeah.
It was too slow. It was too slow. I was definitely just sitting here
Yeah.
looking at myself for a second. You could have helped me out, but it's cool. I forgive you because we got important matters. Important matters are afoot. You
Very
know, we deep
important
into
matters.
this election conversation, and it's been a lot going on. I'm not surprised that our news cycles have been twisting and turning and churning and all of that fun stuff because of the breaking news that dropped, last week about Kamala Harris being the or a Democratic candidate for the election
Now
coming
you
up
can
in
say
November
you can say
2024.
the. You can say
Yeah,
the.
well, I wanted to be particular, specific, precise, but we got people like Dina in here. What's up to Dina?
What
Welcome,
up,
welcome, welcome
Dina?
to the Top Up Show. Friend and family member of the Top Up Show. But we got to make sure we're
For
talking
sure.
right to Dina. We got to make sure we're talking right to everybody who pops in and holds down the show. So I wanted to be specific about those things, but it's been some moving and shaking. We know that she had a rally just earlier this week. I want to say, was it earlier this week? Yeah, like a couple days ago, as
Yeah.
well as just as recent as yesterday. Her name was in the mouth of Donald Trump at a NABJ, and that is the National Association for Black Journalists. They had a interview, sit down panel conversation with Donald Trump, and it was a lot of Kamala talk. Shout out to Donnell. As y'all come in, make sure one, you hit the thumb, make sure your presence is felt in the building. And the second way you do that is by making sure you say what's up. So shout
For
out to the
sure.
family that's already in here and everybody else who's in the mix as well. Y'all go ahead and say what's up to us. But we're gonna handle kind of both of those pieces of news moments, what we call in comp studies exigences, moments that need a communicative response, so that we can
Smart
see how we're
ass.
supposed to feel and what we're supposed to do about the era of Kamala. So I guess we'll start with the overarching question before we even get too deep into the particularities of either of those. The bigger question that the plug was just like, all right, basically comes down to this: is Kamala Harris Black? Is Kamala Harris Black? Because that seems to be a point of contention for both the rally, a point of contention for these Donald Trump conversations and interviews. Is Kamala Harris Black? What say you? How do you come down on that? And of course, one frame. Of course, we're asking this question in a world where she is biracial, right? Want to be clear about that. Kamala Harris is a presidential candidate, especially for our international listeners. You probably are hip to what's going on over here in the United States, but I don't want to take that for granted. So I do want to give some context for the fact that Kamala Harris is both a black woman and she is mixed with Jamaican and Indian, like the continent. I'm sorry, the country of India, right? So got some overlaps and overlays up in there. So that being said, I said black and then I explained the blackness. She's both Jamaican,
Make.
which makes her black. Let's
Mm-hmm.
reel it back. Let me talk precisely.
Mm-hmm.
She's Jamaican, which makes her racially black, and then she also is mixed with Indian. So is she black? Plug. What do you
I
think?
would. Yeah. The official plug answer is yes. Kamala Harris is black. Now, I want us to understand the positioning for the people who argue against it. First, the reason why I say Kamala Harris is black is because the way that I understand blackness has a greater focus on the multifaceted nature of blackness, the same way we focus on the multifaceted nature of Africanness, right? The diversity that we see in the continent is the same diversity that we see amongst the diaspora, the people who came from the continent. So like this constant the way that people are arguing on behalf of her not being black is because they want to position blackness in the same context that we understand whiteness. You feel me? Why? Like it's easy to identify and point out what is not white, right? But for whatever reason, like black people want to create the type of strict ramifications around blackness that we see that whiteness creates with itself, but it's done so and it happens in a way that's more detrimental to black people than it is beneficial. Like
Yeah.
the problem with blackness is whiteness understands blackness through a very specific lens, through what we understand, what we call or what's described in fact in philosophy as facticity. It's like
Mm-hmm.
blackness is this thing, this very specific thing that we're able to call out and that we're able to identify, so we can easily point it out. That's why it's what was painted on non-whites, the blacks, right? That blackness was a label to
Mm-hmm.
identify and to rob black people of their diversity. It was like as diverse as the continent of Africa is, and the diaspora
Mm-hmm.
that come from that continent. Black only mean one thing to people.
Absolutely.
It's just this one thing, right?
This is
Africa
that's
is
all.
just this one thing, even though it's the most diverse and the most, you know what I'm saying, resourceful continent. African mean this one thing out of 50 something countries, out of like tens of thousands of ethnic groups. We understand Africa as this one thing. And when
You're right.
we and
Well, which is understood to be a monolith, right? That's really where
right,
we get to start to flattening what
right,
blackness is and really doing weird shit like what Tiffany Haddish did, where she went to fucking, I think she was in Nigeria and was so stunned that there were black supermarkets and shit like that. This is where you get that kind of nonsense by black people, where
right.
you fall into these weird kind of understandings of how race works that then forces you to project weird shit on the other black people. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And so I have a different understanding of blackness than that. I mean, I think that, like, in the words of the great Ronald Judy, you know what I'm saying, what it means to be black, what it means to be a nigga is the question of what it means to be human, which
Hmm.
has a plethora of answers. It isn't specifically tied to a particular landmass or a particular phenotype. And we
Right.
want blackness to encompass like those two specific things in order for it to be validated. But in order for blackness to grow and develop and to be a culture in and of itself, it can't be confined to those very specific type of things. It can't just be phenotype, location. You know what I'm saying? I consider
Right.
myself a Pan-Africanist, but I'm only able to do that. Even I've never stepped foot on the continent of Africa, but I recognize my connection through the history of how I ended up here, through the history of the diaspora. You feel me? And to
Hmm.
deny any group of the diaspora, whether it be Jamaicans, whether it's Brazilians and other South Americans or whatever, to deny them their blackness because of a lack of whatever relationship they think is going on, is more of how whiteness operates, and it's more detrimental
Absolutely.
to how we understand ourselves.
I mean, I think a continuation of kind of the detriment that you're talking about is because we can't seem to get on the same page about who's black and what blackness is, and really understand the contours of blackness and how it kind of positions us in this world. It makes white people a little bit too comfortable about having
Right.
referendums about this shit, and that's where it gets real messy. Like on Twitter, a lot of people are. I seen some white people. This white man in particular was getting ate up because he had retweeted pictures of Kamala Harris's father, and was like, he's not really all that black. Look, he got straight hair. Then was made retweeted another picture of him and was like, he light skinned, so he only kind of like something that had to do with his complexion because he's a lighter skinned man. And it's just like, who are you and why do you think you have inroads into these discussions about, especially when you come from the people who made the one drop rule, who then completely threw out our racial understanding connections and shit like that, just threw them into disarray anyway, because they came up with a system and a structure to determine and police the shit, to regulate what race was, instead of allowing black people to self-determine, to be unique individuals and grouping and scooping. They are the ones who came up with mechanisms that, deny or causing the, force us to really have a fucked up relationship with what race is and how raciality exists.
Right.
So it's just like the comfortability of people like him, people like Donald Trump weighing in on whether or not she's black or not is really what troubles me, because there's such a lack of kind of continuity in how we end up having these conversations. I don't think, but the other side of it, and one of my favorite tweets that I've also seen on this issue is like, uh, Kamala is claiming to be what is it, half Indian. I don't under That's the blackest thing she could possibly do. You know what I'm saying? That tickled me because
Yeah, because the nigga
you know what
love
I'm
to say
saying?
that
Because
they Indian.
you
Boy.
feel me? And so,
Yeah.
I mean, even outside of that, though, there's just so many other things about her real lived experience, her life, that gives her access to blackness that I don't think in any other situations people would gatekeep. I also think it's unfortunate that, in a world where we do, as Pan Africanists, right, as leftists, as people who understand the intricacies of the Middle Passage and the transatlantic slave trade, like for us to recognize the diaspora of Black people, but then not just fall just short. of biracial black people. Like, it's just very peculiar to me, right? Because you'll take them over here when they speak French, and you'll take them over here when they speak Portuguese, and you'll take them over here when, you know what I'm saying, they have don't even identify as black, and you'll be like, but Brazil is the second largest population of black people. Look
Black
at all
people,
those
yeah.
black people over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll fetishize and fangirl over those statistics, but the biracial people who are like, hi, I'm black too, you're like,
Now,
I
now,
don't know.
Trey,
Like that.
I
That's where it gets weird to me.
I do want us to respond to the other side's argument properly, right?
Right on.
So you know how we do. We're fair. You know what I mean? Like there are many.
Well,
What's up? What you about to
no,
say?
finish your thought. Finish your thought, and then before you get into it, let me say something real quick.
Yeah, because like I at least want to like posit what a lot of people are saying in a similar fashion. He may not be as articulate as others, but it's the sentiment is there. Go ahead.
All right, now real quick before you posit this other side that other people have been saying, what the streets been saying, I want to make sure that we shout out the homies in here because the chat kind of started jumping, and I hope this is a sign of things to come where a whole lot of people are talking about it. So if you in here watching, make sure you go ahead and say what's up. Shout
Yeah.
out to Hood Therapy. Tyler is in the building. The fam came back to the table. What's good? Jamal was popping. Dina was good, and there's a lot of people in here chatting. They say Jamal said, uh, I was raised by a biracial Jamaican. She's black. Right, just like cut to the chase, experiential, just kind of how I've navigated the world. It's kind of like porn, you know blackness when you see it. um to my British friends, specifically Jamaican. Then Tyler says, so we can't claim Smokey Robinson now. Like, I think that's what it begs the question of, like, when we start drawing these weird hard lines, who else you
Bob
willing to
Marley.
cut? Who else you willing to cut? You know what I'm saying? Like, who are you willing to let go of off the roster if we really gonna start nitpicking and being weird about this shit?
Would it be low hanging
Then
fruit
let
to
me
say
see.
Drake to cut? That's what we gonna cut? Is that low hanging fruit to say we cutting Drake or
Probably,
Dollar?
probably.
Okay.
We won't. We're gonna separate these issues. We'll leave that for a different a different discussion.
Yeah.
Let me see. Honestly, when he said that shit, all I heard was Umar and other people like him. Uh, and I want to be specific about Jamal when you say when he said that shit. Be specific about that. Dina said it's hard being a biracial black person because you only fit in when it benefits others, the other party, from her experience. And I can, Dina the dog. Dina is both black and Cuban. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely. I've witnessed. You know what I'm saying? The like. Now I don't think it's code switching, but it's literally like living in two worlds, being, and speaking Spanish and honoring those traditions and being around those, you know what I'm saying, that family and in that context, but also being around black folk and how you have to navigate those things delicately just to make sure you feel anchored with your people. Cash said, to me, being black has always been the culture we've created here in the United States. And then, I think it is fed through that needle, but I also think as we look at blackness, we got to look at how it's exploded those boundaries. We got black British people, you know what I'm saying, and they do shit different, but they black over there. They're not African American. And I
Yeah.
saw a tweet that was like, when you use the phrase African American, that says a lot about the antiquated ways that you come, like you haven't made the pivots and the shifts in
Yeah.
these conversations about race. And either you gun shy about saying black, and that's not a good look, or you have some investments in like that American adjective and contour and modifier to that language that then demonstrates your shallow relationship to what race really looks like in this country, around the world. And then let's see.
Bill Gates.
Yeah, go ahead and check it out.
Bill Gates
I'm
said
trying to read it
Boston
before I
Public
say it out
said,
loud.
yeah, to Smokey Robinson. Smokey Robinson is FBA. That's another interesting part of this conversation
Yeah.
that we gonna touch on as we kind of as we kind of get through this part. But Bill Gates also said Kamala has one paternal grandmother who's Afro Jamaican, with three other non-black grandparents, but she's black. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Before we get into that argument, let's first understand that blackness as a social construct does not belong in the genetic conversation that we try to have
Yeah.
when we talk about parents and grandparents and shit.
That.
It's not, it doesn't work like that. And actually, we're gonna play this video so y'all can hear how, on one hand, people who talk like this are going to tell you that race isn't real like that, but they're gonna talk to you about having black genes and having black blood, which are completely pseudoscientific terms. Like I'm gonna say this right now, and I dare anybody try to challenge me on this. There is a white person that is genetically closer to you than you are to the black person sitting next to you.
Yeah.
That is a genetic reality. There are white people who are more similar to other black people genetically than they are to other white people. So this whole who your parent is, black blood shit, all of that is pseudoscientific bullshit that we have bought into to maintain the ridiculous nature of race. The reason
It
and
makes
the
us feel
reason why
better.
we can't grapple with the question of mixed race people, the reason why it's so fucking confusing is because race is supposed to be so fucking divisive. It's supposed to keep
Come
you
on.
apart. It's
Hold
supposed
on.
to
Thank.
it's
Can you? I want to treat you like you're preaching. Can you run that back one more time? Can you just? I just want you to go get that.
the reason why we struggle to grapple with the question of mixed race people is because race is supposed to be divisive.
Mm.
You're not culturally, you're not supposed to mix. Interracial relationships are frowned upon in both black communities, white communities, Latino communities. You're supposed to stick with your own. This is all cultural shit. This is all tribal shit.
Yeah.
And for black people, that shit don't work to our benefit. Period. Because we have been placed, again, race as a social hierarchy, a unilateral social hierarchy. Black have been
Mm-hmm.
placed at the bottom. At the bottom. You don't get no advantage. I don't know what white people didn't convince y'all about wokeness and DEI, but there is no advantage to blackness in 2020 fucking 4. It's
It's
not.
not.
The only advantage blackness is in this conversation is robbing it from somebody to try to say that they inauthentic.
Yeah. I mean, and the nigrophilia that this world exists in only allows it to become flatten it, makes it equal, makes it all zero sum, maybe, right? Because you're like, well, then what about this? What about okay, sure. I'll grant you that. That's not an advantage. That just means you finally like some shit enough for us to be palatable enough for you to like stop killing, maiming, murdering, I won't even say you stop gratuitously targeting people because we see so many of our dear and beloved folks every single day in the news being shot down. But it just balances things a little bit. We've not balanced the playing field yet. So again, there's no advantages, right? At best, it just kind of makes things even. Let's not get too crazy.
So I want us to get into the actual argument itself, and attempt to identify a few of the hypocrisies in it. Let me get it pulled up for you real quick, T. I think we got some more comments. While I get this pulled up, we can see what they talking about in the
Yeah.
chat.
Let's see. Zoo 221 said we cooking. Social World TV was popping with you. Tyler
What up,
said Bill
Sosa?
Gates in the chat. Can I get a grant? Bill, you got somebody with their hand out real quick, and I ain't mad at it, Tyler. You just make sure you cut me in, but I hope you get that bag. But Bill Gates is, I don't think, satisfied with the context that we provide. I'll read some of the comments. So, growing up in a city makes you black. Going to a university makes you black. Being part of a sorority makes you black. Is what race science is, what you're using a quantifier is black one drop. I deal with lineage, I deal. I'm gonna try to just read it as it is. With culture, I deal with heritage. Those trifectas exclusively. I tend not to deal with race. So you are more interested with lineage, culture, and heritage. Which lineage is are questions of I'm gonna just keep reading the last comment, and then obviously there's an advantage to being black and obtaining power. You have someone with who's literally not black but able to identify as such. I think as a complete package, I don't necessarily follow the train of thought that's there, but I do understand that maybe you're skeptical about the experiential components of blackness and how they give you access to certain black things. I think we should go back to the comments that the plug made that essentially boiled down to this shit being nuanced, to it being not so cut and dry, and partially because we've had to navigate understanding blackness in and of ourselves and for ourselves, but also navigating systems, structures, and institutions
So we
that have
out
been
here
given
trying.
to us by white people in terms of race. So these are not the neat. I think you're looking for a really neat conversation where everything is just kind of compartmentalized into is or not, yes or no, thumbs up or thumbs down. And what we're saying is that experience plays into it. It's not necessarily enough. It's not the only benchmark. It's not the only kind of tentacle on this octopus, but rather it's a very deep conversation, which is why we have shit like the Chop Up Show to really navigate the discussion of how race and its continuity or lack thereof exists. But yeah, experience is a part. I guess I say all this to say experience comes with the package deal. Like, yeah, where you grew up and the cities you live in absolutely shape your relationship to blackness, right? There's a reason why you know what why a comb would be on a hot stove. There's a reason why, you know what I'm saying, you know, or why we only call it ashy, and why maybe some Latin people call it ashy, but Asian people and white people don't call it ashy when their skin is dry.
Do
It's a
they even
reason for
have?
that.
Yeah, I was like, do other groups even have a term for ashy?
I dry skin. You know what I'm saying? It's a
Dry
reason
skin.
why
Okay.
it's not curly. It's not people. It's all types of white people with thick curly hair that don't call their shit nappy, and that's because there's a socialization that has gone through that gives us access to those things, and we can't deny that as a marker of blackness. So, um, yeah, keep hollering at us, but like shape out kind of the ultimate inroads that you're trying to have to what we're saying. Because if you basing it off of experience, yeah, that's one of the parts of being black
All right.
is the black ass experiences you have and the black ass places you be
Now
in, the
this
black ass shit you do. Go
now
ahead.
this is the not black interracial argument. Let's go.
To justify Kamala Harris' blackness with the one drop rule. Come on now. The same people who gave us the one drop rule said we was 3/5 of a human being, and also was writing the Constitution saying that all men are created equal when we was in slavery. So you can't go by that. And plus, it's not scientifically proven. It's just what you want to believe. Now, there's a such thing as being biracial. If that means you come from parents of two different racial makeups. And there's also a such thing as coming from a parent who happens to be one solid race and a parent who happens to be biracial. And that would mean that you have 3/4 of another race's blood and you making you more that blood because you have the majority of that blood inside of you. Y'all need to stop. Y'all trying every effort y'all can find to make this woman a black woman. She's not a black woman. She's not an African American or a black American woman. She's a Indian Jamaican woman.
So
Mhm.
that's the argument. Now, Toya, here's the hypocrisy for me. How the hell do you fix your lips to call one perspective non-scientific, to turn around
Mhm.
and use the language of black blood? You only have this much blood of what another race gave to. Race is not connected to genetics.
Yeah.
It don't work like that. Because I think the part that these niggas like this miss is that, yo, the world don't care who you say is a nigga or not. The
Yeah, no.
world determine who's a nigga and who get treated like one.
Yeah, the world
The
shouldn't do
society
that.
that we exist in, when the police is looking at, like, again, thinking about who to pull over, who turns on, you know what I'm saying, their radar mentally.
Mhm.
They not giving a fuck. They not asking questions like, well, how much black are you? How much percent? If you look like a nigga, you're getting harassed.
Yeah.
Like,
And
let's
then this
stop
is
playing. Let's like Toya, answer me this: if Barack
mhm.
Obama had a black mama and a black daddy, would white people have treated him any better?
No.
Would white people
No.
have been any less racist?
No.
Would white people have done anything different if Obama had a white mama and a white daddy?
Not once were people like, well, you shouldn't say that because he has a white mom. Like, be go easier. Like that was kind of that was a 9. Come at him at a 6.5 because his mom's white. Like I don't think they've ever tempered any of their interactions with him in that way. And so I don't know what this big explanation or expectation rather is one way or another. If she goes over here and gravitates toward this or that or whatever, that it would matter. I think when I think about this shit too, I and again, I told it's layers, it's nuanced, right? I feel like multiracial people who make the decision to be black, you get access to blackness. Sorry, as much as I this is why as much as you know the logic conversations are difficult and I might have to hold my head and look to the side a little bit. Like I'm not gonna sit up here and deny you that shit. You want to know why? Because one of my favorite kind of little memes or quotes is, "I love being black. It's not easy, but it's fun." You know what I'm saying? Like it's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? It's not for fucking everybody, but it's a vibe over here. You know what I mean? And I think the multiracial people who have aligned themselves with blackness recognize the danger in it, have opted in anyway. They scrolled all the way to the bottom of the terms and conditions, and I dare to believe they even read them bitches and was like, "I'll take it." Who am I to deny you the fucked up shit? We just agreed that there are no advantages to blackness, right? So if you both have the multiracial raciality, you have the experiential knowledge, and you have the ability to fix your mouth and set yourself up for the way niggas get treated, like who am I to stand in your way?
No, no,
I
and
don't know.
look, Toya, yeah, cause that's the thing. Niggas act like we gotta gatekeep blackness, like niggas is busting down the gate to be black. Black people don't even want to be black. Half of the niggas that's talking about Kamala ain't black don't do nothing but talk bad about black people. Let's stop acting like we give a fuck about who black now. That shit does not matter. Like if
Bruh,
we
at
being
all.
100% honest, let's be for real. One of my mama's favorite movies was Imitation of Life. And that movie was about a mixed race, light skinned black woman whose mother was a maid, father abandoned, you know what I'm saying, abandoned the mother or whatever. And she wanted to live her life as a white woman. That was one of the earliest kind of like artistic depictions that I saw of the desire for non-black people to want to be treated better in a white society by not being associated with with blackness. She was ashamed of having a black mama. Most of
Yeah.
y'all operate, most of y'all people saying Kamala ain't black act like y'all ashamed of black people. It's always, see, this the problem with niggas here. I say the number one thing that niggas try to do on the internet to sound smart is shit on niggas. Like if you wanna be seen as a free thinker, say something fucked up
Lazy.
about niggas. Kanye didn't call himself a free thinker till he said slavery was a choice. That niggas chose to be slaves.
Hmm.
You know, actively working to already like to add on to a pathology that already fucking exists. You know, like so what are we doing here? There is no
Yeah.
desire to run with it, like to run with being black, as if like nigga, like oh that like there's an advantage to that. My fault.
Zeus
Go ahead.
said,
Go ahead.
"No, you good." Zeus said, "Facts. If Kamala don't win, she might be black for real. They gonna disown her. You know what I'm saying? Like they gonna discard her and throw her away. If she don't win this election, ain't nothing the Democratic Party finna do for her or about her. They're not gonna set her up for another run later on. They're not gonna try to valorize. They gonna throw her away. You didn't. You was no use to us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like." Bruh, if you want to link on and sign on to that road and that path, I'm just like, man, go ahead and experience that if you like. But let's take the conversation further because we've answered the question of whether she's black. We've kind of created some understanding about our take on it. I want to talk specifically about especially since she is black.
Mm-hmm.
Since she is black, let's talk about these pandering accusations, right? Because she had a rally in Atlanta on Monday, I believe. And when she had this rally, it was awesome because a lot of people were like, Donald Trump ought to be shaking in his boots. Like, this nigga ought to be concerned. I mean, when you saw the pictures, when you saw the optics, there was Harris 2020 Palooza. I mean, the place was trapped out. It was, let me see. I want to see if there's an official count. I was looking through some tweets to see if the numbers here. Let's see. I don't see the official numbers here, and I didn't come across them, but the shit was flooded, right? And so there's some urgency because I mean, you flooding out arenas, even if it's not as much as the biggest Donald Trump event that has happened. How'd you do that in 2 weeks? You know what I'm saying? How'd you go from not being, an option to really galvanizing all this support? And so a lot of people saying, he should be concerned. But the second level of the conversation that's being had about this event is that, and this is from black people, right? There's been a robust discussion on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, and a bunch of different spaces about whether or not she was doing too much or kind of falling back into her bag. Like if you recall, when she ran in the last election, she was quoted as saying that she smoked marijuana when she was a student at Howard University while listening to Tupac, and a lot of people was like, "You sound crazy."
Nah, cause
Like, who was you
wasn't
trying
like
to?
the Pac this like Pac didn't drop until a certain year and she had already been gone and some shit like that. Yeah.
Something they
Foolishness.
they picked it apart, you know what I'm saying? They was like, you sound ridiculous, you sound like you trying too hard, you the police, and now you want to sound like you all about weed, this and that. People weren't happy with that, and they was like, you it didn't hit like you thought it was supposed to hit. It didn't, what they say, it didn't give like it was supposed to have gave. And
Mm-hmm.
so when we think about that in comparison to this event where she was quoting Migos, we already know that Beyonce has released that Freedom song to be one of the songs that she uses while she's on the road doing her thing.
Mm-hmm. That's like an
Megan
official
Thee
campaign song.
Stallion, official campaign song. Megan Thee Stallion performed Body Yaddy 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 Yaddy, which we're gonna talk about in a minute, with dance moves and all at the campaign thing. And
Yeah.
so I guess my question to you, plug into the chat, is there a, considering how high the stakes are,
Mm-hmm.
is there a line? Like that's too far for you. That would turn you off in terms of pandering because she's leaning into blackness. She's taking black shit and running with it. She's recognizing, especially in a place like Atlanta, I feel like that might be the strategy. That I don't need to come in here real tightly buttoned up or, you know, coming speaking down, condescending, being is that the strategy? Is there too much? Like I'm asking a couple
Nah, I
different
think
questions, but what's the vibes?
nah. I mean, ultimately, the answer is in the type of political climate that we have, like everything is pandering. Like we
Mm-hmm.
are, like the loudest people are the people that are doing the most complaining. And so I think Kamala with a certain demographic is never going like this. She's not black demographic. The people who just hate politics demographic. The people who are
Mm-hmm.
wanting to hop off the liberal plantation demographic. It's a bunch of demographics that's always going to look at anything she does and say she pandering. Like at the end of the
Yeah.
day. So like for example, when she made the Migos comment, um, like she was like in the words, what she said like in the words of Quavo or something. Like
I'm gonna
basically
get to it. She said, "Walk it like I talk it." I'm gonna get there for sure.
yeah. So when it comes to that type of shit, it's like yes, niggas she's under a microscope. She like
Yeah.
any cultural expression, especially somebody that's being called into question for their blackness, it's gonna be like hyper. It's gonna be under the type of hyper surveillance that's always gonna make everything she does a conversation. But I do think there's a line though. Hillary Clinton saying "hot sauce in my bag" is that line.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
Kamala is an AKA.
Yeah.
She went to Howard. She from Oakland. Listen, if y'all talking about she's trying to lean into her blackness, she's done it quite successfully for a while now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I
I,
don't know. I've been to Oakland a few times. I love Oakland. Oakland is dangerous. Like Oakland ain't nothing to play with. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
At
Like East
all.
Oakland,
At all.
shout out to the boy She. Like
I will
Oakland is
never
nothing to
take
play
a
with.
vehicle to Oakland because they what they call bipping. They gonna bip you. That mean they gonna bust your shit and take your shit and leave you sad. And they don't care who you are, how many ways you try to stop it. They don't care if you leave a note in the window. They gonna see for themselves.
That's what
Okay,
I'm saying.
ain't got time.
So it was like was she
Ain't got time.
pandering when she pledged, aka? I don't know if she paper or not, and that may come out, but that's some whole other
No,
irrelevant
I
shit.
think I think I think it was the full process, thorough
The
through
full
and through. If I'm
process,
not
yeah. It's
mistaken,
crazy how them niggas is just like straight. Anyway, we ain't gonna get into that. But
at all.
but she like was she pandering when when she applied to Howard, went to Howard, graduated from Howard? Was she pandering when she became AKA? Was she pandering all the other times throughout her life where she identified as a black woman and when she was treated as a black woman? Like don't you not
Yeah.
gonna look at Kamala Harris and say she get treated like some blonde haired white woman that work at Fox News. Stop playing.
It's just not the same thing. I mean, and I mean, Cash went ahead and pointed out that she's a alpha. I'm
Alpha
sorry, an
chapter.
alpha chapter, aka, which means they not finna let nobody slide through. You know what I'm saying? Who didn't earn the ability to rep that pink and that green, that didn't earn the opportunity to rep them letters and do that thing, to the highest extent, to the best reflection. Some more people in the comments before I give my take on this real quick. Shout out to Marcel, also repping California. Shout out to you. Says that one, she doesn't have the greatest reputation in debate, but it's the same pandering that politicians do all the time, right? So let's not act different. Let's not act like this Kamala situation is special. It's the same thing that politicians do and have to do. When they go down to the South and to the Midwest, they put on cowboy boots and put on their little jeans and put on their little
Yeah.
vest with they button down under, and they go down there and act
And
like
they
they
go to the
done been on their hands and
fairs and
knees.
eat fair food, knowing good and
You
goddamn
feel
well they
me?
stomach can't handle that shit.
It's just like, is that pandering too when you are reflecting where you are and making people feel like I see you and I recognize and at least value? Maybe I'm not, that's not my shit, but I value what you got going on. Like, let's not treat her like she's a special case. Donnell says, if we being honest, I've seen people who I never thought would back her are now all in. She's just playing the game now, proverbially shaking that ass to make that money, just getting votes, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just really is what the situation calls for. And here's my thing. Here's what makes it very convoluted. Donnell and Marcel both get me to this place where I think, you know, niggas was demanding that Biden and Trump have plans for Black America. Niggas was like, Barack Obama didn't do enough specific things for the Black community. Like, there are demands and criticisms for the lack of specificity that these candidates have made for Black people and Black issues and inroads into the Black experience. You know what I'm saying? Like that I remember the Barack Obama moment where who was that? Was that when Trayvon Martin was killed, where the little boy came into the White House, and it was such a huge moment and a huge photographic moment. Look this picture up if y'all haven't seen it, where Barack Obama comes down and lets the little black boy reach up and touch his hair. Right, I remember that being so pivotal because in the midst of that Trayvon Martin chaos, that was the first time Black Americans saw they black ass president be a black ass president and make a connection with a little black boy and show him that you could be just like me coming in here. Before that, he had to be Mr. Button Up. So when we have
Yeah,
these little
and when that
small
nigga
moments,
son
not
Al
big
Green,
moments,
it was Al Green moment for me.
he said,
What niggas was like?
so yeah. They fell out, right? But I point out that to say, it doesn't even people went Google over that shit, and it wasn't even a policy. It wasn't even a big directly black people. This is for you moment. It was these little small moments that people ate up. So like, I guess she doing hers before she actually get in the White House, but is that so bad? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I guess I don't know what she could do in a
It's
world where she
not.
is black and has access to blackness. So if she do some black shit, like to me, at worst, it could be corny. But she 50 something years old. She a cornball, bro. Like she gonna say it wrong. It's gonna feel a little ick. It's gonna feel whatever. But I feel like we need to have the wherewithal to find the difference between that shit was corny, auntie, and you're pandering. Like I think that is a pejorative accusation is one that you got to be honest and step back and think about whether you launching correctly.
And so yeah, and we also have to say, is any of that as bad as the bullshit
It's
Trump
Donald
be on?
Trump. Yeah. I
Is
mean,
any
honestly,
of that
you
as
know.
bad as the bullshit Trump be on? At the end of the day, y'all worried about her
Mm.
blackness. This nigga ain't black. What
Yeah.
difference do it make? Really? The
Yeah.
other choice ain't gonna get you no more blacker than what you gonna get with her. So what are you talking about?
Yeah.
That shit it does not matter. Like I don't again, shout out to Michael Eric Dyson, the Godfather. When that nigga said Obama was not Moses, he was Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
Obama was not our savior. Joe Biden was
Not
not
at
our
all.
savior. Kamala will not be our savior. That is
Not
not
at
the
all.
role of the job of a U.S.
You gotta
senator, of a U.S. district attorney, or a state district attorney. You feel me? Like any of that type of shit. Y'all gotta understand what the job is. Like if you're mad about what the job is, this is the energy that you always gonna get. That's why I feel like
Yeah.
that's why I feel like if we've just hyper focused on the 2016 election, 2020 election, and 2024. Yeah, the 2024. What you'll see is that there is one group of people who have positioned themselves to be like, we gonna have the same argument regardless the election. Hillary Clinton, super predators, jail, 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 prison, prison, prison. Yep, we can't vote for
Yep.
her. Joe Biden, the crime bill, jail, 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 prison, prison, prison. We can't vote for them. Kamala Harris, district attorney, truancy shit, jail, jail, jail. We can't vote for her. And literally ignore that we went through a Trump presidency, experienced what there was to experience under Donald Trump, seeing how white people have been invigorated to commit acts of violence. And that's why we don't talk about Trump being shot no more, because he was shot by his own people.
People, yeah.
They will never hyper focus on a white man killer, on a white man crazy, whatever. This would have been the story would have lasted. Trump almost getting shot would have lasted for months if it was a liberal, if it was some Antifa motherfucker. But because it was a young, politicized white boy, of course Kamala can steal the thunder. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so what are we talking about? Because like the last question before we get into the next part of the conversation, Toya, does this shit matter? In the context of this election, with this candidate versus this candidate, fuck it, she Indian. Vote Kamala. Fuck it, she okay, fuck it, she biracial. Vote Kamala. Fuck is we talking about? I mean, but the question still stands for you.
Splitting hairs. And I mean, I it sounds like it is. It sounds like it is. So I think, because that was passionate, and I want to make sure we keep the conversation pushing because we got a whole other side of this to get to.
Yeah.
We already kind of shouted out. You already pointed to walking like I talk it. I saw a tweet where somebody was like, "Oh my God, I don't understand how you all cannot be offended," right? And I feel like this tweet was like implying that Kamala's playing in our faces or something like that. But I think it's important to note, and kind of I guess undermining our intelligence or something like that. It's important to note a couple things. One, the rally was in Atlanta, we already know that Quavo's from Atlanta. The lady was being topical. Atlanta is full of black people who are going to know that cultural reference. So why not take advantage of it? I think another moment that she had that was like this collective, everybody jump on board. And this cliche, this one liner moment was when she was like, um, talking about him dodging the debates, which I loved. Keep talking shit, keep trying to force him into fucking sitting down with her. But she was like, if you got something to say. And what did she say? Say it to my face. I felt like that was a more corny execution of that moment, but she giggled and laughed through
I
it, and the
wouldn't even
whole
call it
crowd
corny,
roared.
man. I love Kamala Giggle. Fuck it. Everybody want to bring up Kamala Giggle. Kamala
And
laugh
I'm
harder.
neutral. And I'm neutral about it. I'm not mad about it at all. And I love the fact that, she's willing to be that person. I felt like she was good, high energy, very personable. And that's what candidates, and that's what 50-year-old something black women do. They got a little lighter. Y'all, plug. Can I have a moment with you, bro? My mama just celebrated her birthday. She's 60 plus. And
Curl.
that's my dog. You know what I'm saying? See
Curl.
murder all day long. See murder all
Yeah.
day long. That's my girl.
Hey,
When I
listen.
was
That's the homie.
15, when I was 14 or 15 years old, and my mama was finally coming to terms with the fact that I was gonna be this tomboy, I was gonna be this more kind of masculine little girl, I was gonna be using the slang the boys was using,
That still get
whatever.
her
I
eyebrows
taught
done. She be trying
that
to
still
play
get my
tough.
eye. And the guy used to get my hair done every 2 weeks. Crimps, waterfalls, French rolls, whatever. But
With the
when
swoop.
the word hello, but the words that come out is gonna be what they be. You know what I'm saying? So she finally came to terms with that, bro. And she let me finally start lacing her with a little bit of slang. And I never forget telling my mama, and you probably this gonna resonate with you. Chunk the deuces and do what? Keep it moving, nigga. What do we do? We chuck the deuces and we keep it moving. My mama said that to me 3 days ago. Like it was the hottest thing.
The nigga said
She
that
was
shit
talking.
like
She
an
was like, you know
old.
what we do? 'Cause I lost my car. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Our car got totaled on Sunday. We
Yeah.
reevaluating things, moving some shit around, whatever. And she up
Yeah.
here in her motivational speak, chuck the deuces and keep it moving. Whoa, whoa, whoa. She made it fit. Why do I say this? This is what these people do.
Mhm.
Okay? They get in their bag, they get excited, their energy get high, and they try to come up with the cleanest one liner they can think of to make themselves sound 24, 34, 44, and not 54, 64 years old. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Like this is so
To fit in.
yo,
Yeah.
but also because they think they sound cool. These niggas don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Like this is a black woman. This is a person we be using lingo, dog. Like we be
Yeah.
saying shit.
Yeah.
You'll find an old nigga around the corner outside the store to this day that'll tell you he couple steady.
What?
Like, what are we doing? Like,
Hey, I would say Gen Z don't know what that means, but Gen Z is oddly tapped in. Oddly.
I mean, in context clues help, but they're not
Yeah.
stupid. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But niggas got to be able to kind of decipher and seeing people as good and just recognizing people as being they self. And
Yeah. Let
I
that
think
woman be
there was
50.
moments where let her be 50 and let her be herself. Let her
Yeah.
personality be her personality. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all swear you don't want some old white man running shit, but you want an old white man mannerisms and respectability and shit, and she ain't got that for you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I don't know. Um, Last thing I want to get to real quick before we go to this NABJ conversation is the Megan component.
Right.
Huge split because now we transcended race and started to get into sexuality. We start to get into literally conversations about the women's body. On one side, you got the Harris campaign saying body yada yada yada. Hotties for Harris, to the front. Let's talk
Shout
about
out to the
women's
hottest for
bodies
Harris.
rights. You know what I'm saying? Dina put that in the comments, so I didn't even know they had a little hashtag, but it's cute. So on one hand, you got these people who are advocating on women for women's rights, advocating for the ability for people to make their own decisions about themselves. It's a song of an era, you know what I'm saying? It blew up and was all over the place. The connection is there, but then you got other people saying, "What is this ratchet shit?
Yeah.
This is classless. This is black people. This is not white people. This is niggas being like, this is fucking terrible. Like
Respectability
taking it
comes
back,
as
like
last place.
disgusted.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, and I get it. I get
Mm.
it.
Mm.
I get it.
Mm-mm.
I don't agree. But I understand. I'm not gonna lie. I got my first. I was like, My first impulse was to be like,
Was
but
it?
I'm a critical. Yes, I was like, I was troubled. But as a critical thinker, I really do recognize the value of this black woman being like, I am a black woman who gonna bring some black shit with me. And again, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I represent you know what I'm saying? A lot of different people and a lot of different needs. I'll play your favorite song at the next one, but for this one in this conversation, like it's not completely baseless and irrelevant that I bring this young, educated, talented, multifaceted black woman to come in here and be a part of my campaign and do what she do the best. Megan ain't, I mean, I like cool, maybe a different artist, maybe it would, but she need that youth vote. She need the youth
Yeah.
vote. She need the women vote. She need the black vote. To me, just strategically, regardless of how I feel about it, damn, like I see you. Like to me, I was like, make moves, Kamala. Like I get the logic. It doesn't gotta be for me. I didn't have to like it to understand
Yeah. I mean,
the
because I would have,
thinking behind it.
because I would know what your criticism was because I'm about to say it, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. You said you want to know what my criticism was?
No, I'm saying I would know what
Oh
your
yeah,
criticism would be. Yeah, because like we gonna have the same we got the same sentiment when it comes to this shit because it's like what's overly sexual. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? What's being sexualized? I mean, because one, I would say this was a very mild Meg Thee Stallion performance. If anything,
very,
this is
very.
one of the more modest Meg Thee Stallion performances, if anything. And let's not act like this is a campaign event. So if we're going to talk about the celebrities being invited to a campaign event, remember Meg Thee Stallion is performing at a rally.
And you might remember pep rallies, nigga. Like the cheerleaders did something.
Yeah,
It wasn't just the
people
football
got
team.
hype,
Like,
right? People got hype,
yeah,
and the part of the problem with politics is that we act like we have to disconnect culture from our political engagement in order for our politics to be right. No, white people do that. You know how white people be
yeah,
at the type of church where they be and they go, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, and like you kind of as a black person you see that and it's like coming from like a Methodist church. Like I came from an AME Zion church. This is a nigga church for real. Like
absolutely.
we see things differently. We move in ways that's different. And then when we see like our culture blending with our political celebrations, because a rally is a political celebration, then all of a
Yeah,
sudden now it's like, oh my God, I'm disgusted. Oh my God, this is so weird. Not what happened. Like we want to create that connection. Donald Trump is
yeah.
doing it. Like because
Come on, man.
this is where I point. This is where I'm like anybody that got something to say about Meg Thee Stallion is a full blown fucking hypocrite because she was just at a rally. Meg Thee Stallion spoke, or Amber Rose, Miss Slutwalk herself, spoke
Yeah, come
at the
on, man.
Republican
Come on,
National Convention.
come on.
At the Republic, and so you got people posting tweets that's criticizing having a rapper at the at a campaign rally when Donald Trump was just in the Bronx with two street nigga rappers at a political rally. What are we talking
Yeah,
about? It's like it would be one thing if this was the standard that we was holding across the board. But when we got hyper specific criticisms of the Democratic candidate, of the black female candidate, of the woman candidate, then we have a problem. Your
yeah.
logic doesn't spread far enough for us to feel comfortable, for me to feel comfortable saying I get it. Because I don't see how you get it in this instance and don't look at Amber Rose like, what the fuck are you doing
What
here?
the? I mean, which Amber Rose and her issues and struggles in that direction is a whole different conversation. But let's not get weird, right? When it comes down to this black woman, like we keep having to say, let's not get weird when it comes to how we talking about her. Um, so we want to make sure we keep a hold on these comments. Cash Money say Megan Thee Stallion graduated from TSU, Texas Southern University, honored with the 18th Congressional District of Texas Hero Award for her philanthropy efforts in Houston. Also, she has a nonprofit called the Pete and Thomas Foundation. So her performing in a way that we all know her for and people complaining is crazy because you act like she's not out here doing the work, that she is not an individual who is capable of not only doing shit at political rallies, but backing up the political conversations and her place in them that they go, right? As a plug just kind of flashed on the screen, the meme up here says, I'm going to hold y'all hands so y'all hear me clearly when I say this. Megan Thee Stallion performing at the Kamala rally is the least of our worries, especially
That's a
when you
fact.
got people like Mumu just dropped a comment that say they cool with Hulk Hogan ripping his shirt off, but mad at Megan Thee Stallion for twerking. Like, which titties are you upset about? You know what I'm saying? Like, why you get to pick and choose how you want to kind of deal with this? The nitpickiness of it all is just it's not a vibe. And again, I think I want to end this and conclude this idea by saying something very simple. Everything is not for you. If you're my age specifically, you got other shit to care about in terms of whether or not she's the candidate for you, this, that, and the other. Make some other decisions, but please don't let This lady sitting up here and trying to get these 18, 19, these 17 and a half year olds, these 22-year olds. That's just like, cause I literally seen somebody on my shit that was like, I'm such a big Megan Thee Stallion fan. Like, and these young kids, Gen Z is up on it. Like, they not just completely detached to everything that's going on. Some of them are though. And she was like, if I was 22, 21, and Meg Thee Stallion was like, vote for Kamala Harris, I'd be like, oh my God, Meg Thee Stallion said that. Like, they would do it. Like, these are young people. They think like that.
No, it's
They do.
niggas to Toya. It's niggas today
It's
that are
grown people.
impressed that 50 Cent is voting for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But we're ashamed that.
Let me see. Manny 1209 on Twitter said the majority of Gen Z can vote this election, so that is who the Democrats are appealing to. Megan is very popular among that generation, so having her perform was a very smart move. I'm glad none of y'all work in PR or politics. Keep your day job. Right? You don't see the strategy. And again, right? Like Mumu said, I don't get it, and I respect that. But because I didn't either. My knee jerk reaction was what. But I also had to take a couple more seconds to sit back and say, this one wasn't for me. You know what I'm saying? Like this one, but it also kind of was because I am a black woman and I have said body yada yada. So damn, like, all right, whatever. Like, let me lean
you gotta
in.
get out of your respectability politics too, because that's really all.
You feel me? But I don't want to beat this to death. I'm off the pandering conversation, but I just really feel like you got to come to a point in your life where you recognize just like you don't get moved when they start talking to coal miners and people in that particular industry that's dealing with transitions from oil to hybrid to electric. Like that shit's not for you. Just look away.
Yeah, the niggas
it's not your turn.
Cancer and black lung and shit in 2024.
It's not your turn. It just wasn't your fucking turn, and that's okay. Right. If y'all haven't hit that thumb, go ahead and hit that thumb real quick as we transition to the other side of this conversation. Real quick, the National Association for Black Journalists had a panel and invited Donald Trump. And I want the plug to kind of start to pilot this discussion because that shit is just mind blowing in and of itself. But some interesting outcomes.
Yeah. So I mean, if you've been paying attention at all, like you know, Kamala just it's constantly been in the news. It's been constant good news. Like we've literally went from Democrats have had a bad week. Democrats have had a bad month. You know, Joe Biden is trailing. Like, they want him to step down. And, once he did, it was up from there. Like, no bullshit. I'd be mad if I was a Republican, too, because they just hit them niggas with a cheat code. Like, they went through this whole primary process with one nigga, got to the other side, got to the conventions, and they got a whole new motherfucker. And, like, you going from what they're calling Kamala's, like, honeymoon period right into the DNC. And typically, you get the candidate gets a bump after their convention. So she's going from her honeymoon phase into the convention, which is gonna give her another bump. Which I mean, and we talking about 100 days, less than 100 days in terms of early voting from elections. And so Kamala is riding fucking high. And Donald Trump is trying to get all the leverage he can. We know the conversation that he's had about black people. He's repeated this talking point that he's done more for black people than he's done as much for black people as nobody has done more for black people than him, than Abraham Lincoln. Just some type of bullshit like that. So, the National Association of Black Journalists has this opportunity to speak to the two candidates. They reach out to both candidates, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. We know that Kamala Harris is on a campaign tear right now, so she couldn't do it. But Donald Trump, of course, took the opportunity to sit down with the NABJ, and a lot of people was not feeling it. Understandably so, if we're being honest. One of the main people who wasn't feeling it was legendary black journalist, White House correspondent April Ryan. She pointed out on Twitter actually what was the result of that interaction. But hold on, I want to show what her initial reaction was to Donald Trump being invited to the National Association of Black Journalists. Now, she pointed out how, given Donald Trump's record, given his history, there's no reason why any black group will be inviting them to sit in front of them, because we know how Donald Trump moves. He's very disingenuous. He likes to blame. He likes to name call. He likes to whine. He likes to complain. He bitches about elections. He bitches about how he's treated. But, I mean, we know that a lot of the conversation around how Donald Trump get talked to is well fucking deserved, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
April Ryan was one of the first people to point out, like, hey, this is not gonna be a good look. We know how he moved. We know how this shit gonna turn out. And when it came out that Kamala actually couldn't make it because she was campaigning, of course Donald Trump took the opportunity to put out this tweet where he said, crazy Kamala disrespectfully refused to attend the National Association of Black Journalists Conference, but I am on my way to meet with them now in Chicago, because of which she'll probably end up doing. She has no choice, but remember, it is only for that reason. So April Ryan then retweeted, I'm absolutely going to say, I'm absolutely going to, go ahead, what you about to say?
Well, this is not April Ryan. There are actually two Aprils involved in these conversations, ironically or not, ironically enough. So this is Reign of April, who is
Another April.
also a journalist. This is another April, who's a journalist who I also follow on Twitter, a black journalist who also wanted to weigh in on kind of how problematic this was. The April Ryan tweet, though, I want to specifically kind of call out. Says the following. These were her words on it. And did we already talk about who April Ryan was in
Yeah.
relationship to Donald Trump?
Yeah. Now, actually, April Ryan actually got kicked out during the Trump
Exactly. I
presidency.
want to be clear about that. So she's
Yeah.
very familiar with Donald Trump. She was a part of the White House press room,
Yeah.
the press
Press
kind of
corps.
collective that was
Press
the press
corps.
corps that was
Yeah.
allowed to come in and debrief with the president, ask questions, do all that type of stuff. And eventually, she was banned from coming by Donald Trump because he's an asshole and could not take her questions, her approach, probably
But
her
what did
black
Donald
womanness
Trump
in
do
the
to
way.
black people?
You know what I'm saying? Whatever. So, what April Ryan says is Trump came into our home, a black press advocacy convention, and insulted us in our face. What is worse was he was invited to do this by NABJ leadership. A shame. And so she's very frustrated, I believe, as a member of the NABJ. Um, just because, like, you have to have a line, and that's been a criticism. Why do we have Republicans and conservatives come on spaces like CNN just to fucking tout their bullshit and go unchecked, right? And go and I want to say that the panelists, the black journalists did a poor job. They had very targeted and great questions, but he said a whole lot of shit and had a whole lot of shit fly that he needed. This was the time. This was the space to really wring his neck about the shit. And it
Yeah.
don't matter how tough he tries to get. And it don't matter that he used to be a former president. Hold his feet to the fire. And once again, just like they let him do on let conservatives do on CNN when they let them go and tell lies about him, the same way that these debates be happening and they just let him lie and then move to the next question. A lot of people were frustrated about the fact that they just let him come inside of a sacred space that we
Yeah.
command and just run his mouth.
Like, this, what we gotta know is, like, niggas that's willing to crash out are always gonna have the advantage, because there's too many people that's willing to uphold decorum and other shit in order to allow that type of shit to happen. Like, crash out niggas like Donald Trump can go to these places and take advantage of the professionalism of these people, because they know
That
regardless of how much we disagree, regardless of how much we abhor his politics. And shout out to Blue in the chat. Don't worry, bro. It's a lot of silly niggas that's voting for Trump that I love probably, or that advocate for Trump that I love probably. And so it's all good. I don't even trip like that. But when we allow, again, crash outs like Trump to come out to come to places of respectability that black people have built, you can't do what they do, or you always gonna look worse, especially as black
that
people. We know we can't move
that
the same way. So ultimately, but what I do appreciate is that he was asked some pointed questions and he exposed himself for really who he was. Now I gotta we're gonna start with the first question. The reason why we're gonna start with the first question is because the first question gets right to the point. But when they get right to the point, Donald Trump does what he does and becomes a straight up bitch. Like, he
yeah.
immediately from the get-go is whining and complaining and not taking any part of what's going down serious. So let me just make sure Toya is able to see this.
It's so funny because I thought you was gonna say turned into a straight up baby, and you went harder, and I like that.
Nah, bro, like we calling it for what it is.
What it is,
Like, cause
man.
again, like, he started whining and complaining, and like, you got people like Jesse Waters. This is just like a little side note. Fox News is bullshit. Like, they have the weakest, punkest, whiny, crybaby ass niggas on Fox News right now talking about who men are voting for. Y'all niggas complain and whine that y'all got called weird. Y'all had whole sections of y'all news programs dedicated to liberals calling you weird, and y'all was hurt by that shit.
Elon
Don't
Musk
talk to me
has
about no negative
decided
shit.
Elon Musk has decided that if you use weird as a pejorative in a political conversation, that you run the risk of your account being deactivated or being some actions being taken against you. So you can't talk politics and in a negative way toward conservatives, call them weird or call what they're doing weird, or Elon's gonna take your account. Shit's crazy.
And they trying to tell you that it's the liberal tech bros that's protecting, you know what I'm saying, or that's challenging. Anyway, like these sisters, man, took some criticism. Harris Faulkner was up there too. Harris Faulkner's a Fox News stooge too. But the main sister that was heading it, like, she asked some pointed questions and it exposed when niggas be like, Donald Trump fuck with niggas. This we about to see where that shit's just blatantly not true. Let's get it.
Not true.
I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Great question.
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and, you know, and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money, they were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said, you can't do it with Zoom. Well, you know, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late. Just so we understand, I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working, or something
Mr.
was
President,
wrong.
I would love
I think
if you
it's
can
a
answer the
very
question
nasty
on your rhetoric
question.
and why you
I have
believe that
answered
black
the
voters
question.
should trust you with another
I
4
have
years.
been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President
That's
Johnson,
my
who signed the
answer.
Voting Rights
And
Act?
for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work, in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace. I really do.
Let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other.
So, who the fuck does Donald Trump think he is? Now, mind you, I have another video that's gonna show how they weren't late. He was late, right? We're gonna watch that. But but really, the first, it's like, Toya.
Yeah.
Does the word paternalistic, condescendingly paternalistic, come to mind when you think about that engagement?
Oh, 1000%. So much so, give me a second. I want to make sure I come correct, because one thing we did not do is say the name of the woman who did this interview, and I don't know it off the top of my head. But yeah, was very condescending, was very paternalistic. I dare to believe, you know, if you're so upset, her name is Rachel Scott, senior. She is a senior congressional. She has a position. You know, the Washington Post is a paywall, so I didn't get a chance to see all of her credentials. And I was going to read those off, but
Wikipedia.
Amazing work, amazing journalism, right? And to her, that was his tone. Now let's be honest. You just pointed out the shit was running late, so let's go ahead and get to the nitty gritty. Let's go ahead and ask questions that niggas want to know, because you want to sit up here and you want people to say, "Oh, President Donald Trump, we just thank you so much for being here," and have you probably threw a fit before you came out. We got your ass out here because he was 30, 35 minutes late. Who knows who fault it was? But let's go ahead and get into it, my boy. Like,
It was his fault. I'm gonna show you it was his fault, but go ahead.
go ahead and drop the vid. Like, I just wanted to make sure we acknowledge who that was, because she did a masterful job and stayed very patient through that. Because through his whole bullshit, she still came back. You haven't answered my question, my nigga. My question is, what's the reason?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So, of course, Donald Trump is a known liar. So he tries to shame the organization, shame the women, right? Immediately make it as a part of theirs. When Republicans do that, they're disrespecting black people, not just black women. They're disrespecting the organization. They're disrespecting the the entire conference in and of itself. While he's sitting up there trying to talk about them being late and being everything else. So it's like, for me, when black people see that and they watch that, how the fuck can you complain about liberalism and the paternalism of liberalism when it comes to solving the issues of black people, when you have somebody that's not only paternalistic but don't give a fuck about the solutions, really okay with the place that you in, and okay with you staying in. So let's get into why Donald Trump. Which one is it? That's him leaving early.
Real quick, as you get it going, these comments, I want to make sure I talk about. Cash said seeing him in such a vulnerable state just shows you let somebody talk enough, they will tell on themselves. And that's exactly what it was. You just kind of let him fucking get into his move and think, because he got little stuff he wanted to say. That little Abraham Lincoln quote, he wanted to get there. He just had to figure out how he was gonna get there. That little so rude, so like this little shit he wanted to say, but let the condescension come out. Just let you keep talking. Let you keep.
So not only was Donald Trump extremely rude to the host Rachel Scott during today's National Association of Black Journalists conference, but we found out that the reason
Black.
So not
yes, I don't know why Barack Obama wouldn't be black. We actually talked about that earlier in the first part of the conversation. Barack Obama is definitely black. I'm interested in the context of the question, or like, because I see Miss Ma'am. Shout out to Miss Ma'am. I don't think I got a chance to say what's up. How you doing? Good evening. Thank you for popping in. You know, you family. But I didn't have a chance to kind of get a good idea about the context of that question, or why that would be in speculation. Sat12 said Red Hat, the plug, is twice as low in volume as I am. So I don't know if everybody else is having those same audio issues, but let us know if you too feel like we are not equally balanced.
This might be all right. I ain't trying to have it clip. I know how that shit can get clippy real quick. So y'all let me know if this is a little bit better, if this is a little bit higher.
And then you can run the clip whenever.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. But make sure y'all hit that like button though if y'all not subscribed yet. Y'all go ahead and do that as well.
Dina, I don't know what you got going over there, fam, but my dog said, "Oh, y'all, why I touched my screen like I was the one playing the video in the background?" It's us. You bugging.
Yeah, hold on. We about
bugging.
Yeah, shout out to y'all though, man.
Definitely.
All right, let's get it. All right, so now we about to catch Donald Trump lying in 3, 2, 1.
Not only was Donald Trump extremely rude to the host Rachel Scott during today's National Association of Black Journalists conference, but we found out that the reason the conference was delayed was because Donald Trump himself was arguing with the conference to have them get rid of their live fact-checking system. But during the interview, Donald Trump goes on to blame the delay on Rachel Scott, who he falsely accuses of being late to the interview. Take a listen.
And then you were half an hour late. Just so we understand, I have too much respect for you to be late. they couldn't get their equipment working or something
Mr.
was
President,
wrong.
I would like.
Yeah, that is just a flat out lie from Donald Trump. According to the New York Times, quote, about 45 minutes before Trump took the stage, the former president pushed back on NABJ staffers who wanted to live fact check the event, according to a person familiar with the planning. The board pushed back against the last minute demand. When Trump took the stage, he said the delay was due to NABJ's audio issue, which we now know is not the case. The reason it was delayed is because Donald Trump wanted to get rid of the fact-checking at the event because he is incapable of telling the truth, and he was just exposed.
And I'm gonna tell you the problem I have with that shit a little bit too, is that I feel like it's a dog whistle to say the black shit was janky. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like that. Like, the way that he kind of put that together and said it like, y'all, you know, your equipment wasn't working correctly or whatever it was, or you're 30, 35 minutes late. Like, I feel like it's them little undertones. Like, niggas can be late, white people be late, everybody be late. But, like, the way he says it,
You
the way
be
he
late
talks about
paying shit, nigga.
it pisses me. You know what I'm saying? That's, I think, one of the things that really pissed me off the most about it was like, I know what you're trying to do.
Insinuate, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Look, because if he was anywhere else,
And
if he was with his white friends, he would have said that the event was ghetto. Yeah, he ain't that stupid. He ain't that stupid. All right, so of course the first question start out with a bang. Like, and because Donald Trump talked about everything but what she asked, I'm gonna remind y'all what the first question was. The first question was literally, given all this racial shit that you said about black people, that you said about black district attorneys, that you said about black journalists, that you said about, you know what I'm saying, black people that disagree with you. Why, what now should black voters lean on to want to vote for your ass? Why should we trust voting for you? And I think that was a legitimate question that was treated as if, like, somebody like that, like it was rude. Nigga, it's the truth. And that's why I feel like most Trump supporters, black, white, or whatever, that's what they forget, that's what they miss, because they're the ones uncomfortable with the fact that the person that has them invigorated, that the person that they choosing to believe in is a pathological liar, a fraud, but has been found liable of sexual assault, has been found liable of I mean, shit, I already said fraud, but to the tune of damn near $500-600 million being found liable of fraud. Donald Trump can never run a business in his home state of New York ever again. He can never have a non-profit in the state of New York ever again. That's who these people are saying that they want to vote for. Fuck the talking points, fuck the events and everything else that where niggas pull up at. If we're just looking simply at the candidate, there's no way in hell that even black people would support a black candidate with the rap sheet of Donald Trump. But on the question, specifically on the question of DEI, this is another example where we see Trump's stupidity. Let me get this pulled up.
Comments say from the Conscious Community Network, Trump get on everybody's show and act the same way. Acting like he did something different with those ladies is insane. I don't think anybody's acting like he did anything uniquely bad, as much as we are identifying the ways that his poor behavior and his terrible tendencies to condescend and be problematic to people is full of shit. Right? Like, this is not spectacular, but this is more of the same. And you would think if you were invited by the NABJ, that you act like you got some fucking sense. Act like you got balance to win, my nigga. Act like you got people to persuade. Fuck respect. We know you don't really respect black people, but act like there's a desire to kind of meet in the middle or deal with some of these people. Instead, I feel like it was strategic for him to come on that platform and be like, I'm going to come over there and tell those black people what it is and what it isn't, and I don't really care. They're not going to make me capitulate. They're not going to make me try to be apologetic about anything. I'm going to go over there and tell them like it is. I'm the best thing that happened to them since sliced bread and since Abraham Lincoln, and they're just going to have to deal with that. And so in the moment, I feel like the question was clear, was direct, was precise, had a lot of moving pieces to it, but all of it was moving in the straight direction, which is, what do you have to give to black people that's uniquely good or different? And instead of him saying shit eloquently and handling his feet being to the fire, he shrunk. He did a poor job of executing. So we're not spectacularizing Donald Trump and what he did or how he moved. We're problematizing it because you got a job to do, nigga. We know you don't fuck with us, but can you pretend? Can you fake it? at least, because we already know what you're made of, and that's the disrespect. You ain't even trying to fucking fake it, dog. Like, what's good?
Now you into that same tired ass playbook. But on the question of DEI, and Toya and I, we consider ourselves DEI. What's the term? Practitioners.
Sure,
Practitioners.
absolutely.
I probably added a little bit more to that than I needed to.
Yeah, you had an extra E, but you know.
Right. But so the question of DEI and the conversation of DEI and DEI being under attack is something that really matters to us. And so as people who are, one, voters, two, involved, the people that call themselves our leaders, we definitely want to understand how they understand what's important to us, right? Listen to this idiot. Listen to how dumb Donald Trump is. And this is supposed to be like, this man has been president, and niggas trying to put this nigga back in office. Listen to how stupid he is. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Let me get it.
Meanwhile, while you get it and find the spot, I also want y'all to recognize this man is just petty. Because, Plug, did you see the clip where he reached over and grabbed Miss Scott's water bottle and tightened it? That water bottle that y'all finna see on the screen during the show, this nigga went out of his way to reach over from the other side of the table closest to her to grab this water bottle, took it, and tightened the lid on that motherfucker.
Bitch, you ain't getting no water, bitch.
And then set it back on the table. It is the most peculiar thing I've ever seen in my life, but the nigga is petty. Why did you do that to her water?
My God.
If you don't believe me, y'all search for this clip so you can have a good laugh when you close your eyes. This nigga reached across the table. Didn't even act like he thought it was his water bottle. Didn't even act like he was finna take a sip or something like that. Was a little thirsty. He grabbed that motherfucker and brought it, tightened it,
and gave it back to
back on the table, and kept talking. He's crazy.
I hope that he was like, I hope this fucks up your day, like you fucking up mine.
He's nuts.
All right, let's get to it.
Own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead.
Listen.
How do you define
diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a definition then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question, a very direct question.
Define it for me if you would.
I just defined it, sir.
Okay. So Blue, if you still in the chat, because I saw you saying Trump got your vote based on this conversation. My nigga Blue. That's my dog. You telling me you was convinced to vote for this nigga after he asked her for the definition of an acronym? For those who, we have an intelligent audience, so please don't think I'm insulting y'all intelligence by explaining this. An acronym is individual letters that represent different words. So when he said, what is the definition of DEI? And she said diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this nigga said, is that your definition? My nigga, do you think there's a different 3 words that make up DEI? Do you think it's something else? The definition of an acronym are the 3 words that make up what that acronym is. And this,
you could even tell how her voice kind of curled. You could tell by how her voice curled up. She was like, "My nigga, what are you not getting, or what am I missing?" Like, she was like, "Diversity, equity, and inclusion, nigga." Like, she almost could have threw the nigga back there and I'd have able to fit. Because what is the disconnection? Are you asking me what diversity is? Are you asking
right? Do you want me to
what
define
equity
these
is?
terms? Like these?
Are you
these
asking me what inclusion is, or like what specifically is? She was befuddled. I was befuddled, and he looked like a fool.
And then the crowd laughing.
Blue said Blue said he was buying time. Yeah, he was buying time, nigga. He didn't know what he did. He was in a hot spot.
Yeah, he's like, so is that for you? Is your final answer?
But this is,
nigga, if you don't sit your ass somewhere.
But this is like such a debater. Like when we think about debater prototypes, you know what I'm saying? Like this is the type of this is niggas who do competitive debate who will say, anything to defer, to deflect, to move around, to get you. It's called the red herring fallacy, where there's an attempt to get you to look over there, right? Like it's almost like they want you to be like squirrel, squirrel, and so they say random shit to kind of get you to go ahead and follow over and look the other way. I think Sat21 said something similar to that. Let me see. I saw a comment in the same interview when Trump was asked about when he said he thinks police should have immunity. He changed the topic to avoid it. That the pivot. I tell my debaters all the time in cross examination: avoid. I don't know as much as you can. Lie. You need to hit a pivot. You need to be like, well, that question begs the question of this thing, which is something that we really need to be focused on. Like, do anything you can to be like, nope. And that is exactly the strategy that he uses. And shit that he ain't got an answer to, he just gonna cycle and move around shit that he either already said or things that get you or attempt to get you to forget about the whole basis and necessity of the question you asked in the first place. Classic tactics. And they're just more annoying when he does them.
I also want to point out that it's not just leftists, liberals, and Trump haters that's like, Trump looked a damn fool at that time. There are also Republicans that are out there like, y'all are fucking up. Like we gonna have to do a show on JD Vance. We ain't talked about JD Vance yet, but he's added nothing to this ticket. Like JD Vance is literally the Sarah Palin to Donald Trump's John McCain, because he's added literally nothing to. And we're gonna talk about JD Vance one day, but even Republicans are able to recognize you up there looking. What's his name? He used to be on Fox News. Bill. No, not Bill. What is his name? He used to be on Fox News. Oh man, Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly. Yeah. There it is. Bill O'Reilly said that Trump got up there and looked like a jackass and alienated millions of black voters. Alienated. This is a conservative. This isn't just coming from, you know what I'm saying, like MSNBC or whatever else, NBC and whatever else. Like literally. Like even Republicans can look at that and objectively say, the same way Democrats looked at that debate and objectively said, Biden,
you got your ass beat, bro.
Yeah. Republicans are looking at Donald Trump and they're looking at JD Vance and they're saying, this ain't it, bro.
This ain't
like,
it.
Y'all trying to beat this ain't it. This ain't it. Lastly, before we close out, this is where it get even more embarrassing for Donald Trump.
Miss Ma'am said JD Vance was the second pick because DeSantis fucked up bad too early. Interesting theory.
Actually, I would say Donald Trump fucked that up, and I feel like he would have a stronger ticket with DeSantis because that would get him Florida easy. I mean, he probably gonna get Florida anyway if we being honest. But they DeSantis and Trump fucked that up because they beefed a little too hard during the primary.
A little bit too, yeah. What's up, Chris? MVP up in the building. What's good?
We got MVP in the building. But as we get ready to close this thing out, Trump didn't even stay the whole time. He's supposed to be up there for an hour. But the Trump team pulled that man down 30 minutes before he was supposed to get down because they saw how bad that looked. Now again, you know, they have these handlers. They have people that make sure, like, you know what? When it's time to go, it's time to go. Trump handlers easily pulled him off the stage. Let me get this up to you so Toya can see it. Who else we got in the chat, Toya?
I mean, shoot, the family. Matter of fact, if y'all in the chat or y'all watching, but y'all haven't entered the chat, it's never too late to say what's good or to say that y'all been in here talking to us or hanging out or whatever. A quick hey, it ain't gotta be nothing long. Just what's up? I'm from wherever. Gets the job done. But if not that, hit a thumb if you ain't already did it. The thumb's actually been going up tonight, so we appreciate that. But if not a thumb, then hit a bell. If you like these conversations, this is how we talk week after week. Just really getting into the nitty gritty of politics, of life, of reality, of the world around us, and just kind of hashing it out. So if you like it, hit the bell so you don't miss a beat. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't got to miss out. You could be right here with us, with the Chop Nation, having a good time. Miss Ma'am said they pulled him right before the Project 2025 questions start hitting. And that's the unfortunate part of it. You know what I'm saying? Because I would love to hear him talk his way either away from that and create distance or space for that, or to be completely honest about how that shit is really shaking out and where black people fit into any of that shit at all.
We have to do a Project
Blue said,
show too.
Whole separate ep. Blue said, "I
Yeah.
don't want to hear Trump until the next debate. That his race to that's his race to lose if he shut. Let me see. I don't want to hear Trump until the next debate. This is his race to lose if he shuts up. And so, I mean, he got to agree to the debate. I think my question to y'all, and let me know this in the chat in regards to the debate. Do y'all think it it matters for him, like if he doesn't debate? Do you think it will help or hurt him
It's only
if he
gonna hurt
does
him.
or doesn't debate? Like, do you, like at this point, you know what I'm saying? Because he's made a habit out of this. You know, he wouldn't even debate his own other fellow Republicans, and or in terms of them trying to get to the
Right.
primary spot, he
Remember,
treated them like they didn't even fucking matter.
remember there was like what it was like two primary debates, Republican primary debates
Yeah,
that Donald Trump never showed up to, and the man still got the
refused.
nomination. All right.
Said they was beneath him. You know what I'm saying? And then didn't want to debate with nobody else. So I'm very curious about how y'all feel about this debate stuff. Before I turn it over to you, I did tell our people to tap in with us. So shout out to Made Premium, was goody with you, and shout out to T for saying what's up. Definitely happy to have y'all in here. Your presence is being felt. We appreciate y'all rocking with us tonight. Absolutely. And then of course, Conscious Community Network. We love the fact that you've been tapping in as well. I hear my executive producer in the background.
Yeah, so we about to get
Go
into
ahead and drop
Trump
it.
being pulled off the stage by his handlers. Let's get it.
Mr. President, we so appreciate you giving us an hour of your time.
A little later.
Project
Mr. President,
2025.
I think we have to leave it there by the Trump team.
All right.
So we'll leave it. That is the last word. Thank you so much, Mr. Trump, for coming today and joining us.
So he was supposed to.
Mr.
So he was supposed to be there for an hour.
Daddy, I want your phone.
Okay, hold on. Give me just a second. I'll give it to you. I'm about to finish up. But so yeah, he was supposed to be there. He's supposed to be there for an hour.
Yeah.
And he ended up leaving after 30 minutes because they was on his ass. And I don't know what he expected. I don't know what he thought he was going to run into. But that was the reality. If there was anything that we could ask of those sisters on that panel, especially the people that was frustrated about the fact that he was invited to come in the first place and he used it as an opportunity to undermine Kamala Harris, and for the black people specifically, right? The people that was frustrated about that, at least we can say that they asked the type of questions that nigga couldn't even sit under. Like this
Yeah.
nigga press team is like, yeah, you gotta go.
I mean, my thing is, bro, you got shot. You got shot. Air quotes. I'm putting up air quotes for my people listening. You got shot. And they tried to drag you off the stage. You was like, fight, fight, fight. Like you wouldn't give up. You wouldn't leave. But you on this stage with very valuable votes. Votes you cannot afford to squander. And as soon as your team, like Donald Trump, you not no hoe, you not no step and fetch it, you not no, oh, okay, so you said we gotta go, we gotta go. You your own man. So why you didn't tell your team, Trump team, nah, I got some shit to say. These people need to hear it. These are votes at stake. Like, why wasn't you that invested in staying on the stage and catching these proverbial bullets? But you were so ready to sit on stage where you got shot and catch more bullets or potential be in more danger by not leaving from that platform. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of shit that perplexes me. And it tells me everything that I need to know. You had no investments in having that conversation. You thought it was going to be photo ops. You thought it was going to set you up to get some clips to put in some ads. You thought you was going to be able to take back the conversation and re-narrate it and recontextualize it to look like a win later on. It's a whole lot of shit you had planned to do with that ain't just going to work out. Shout out to Melodious for dropping in. Good morning to you. Definitely happy that you decided to pop in with us. You know, we on a late night tip. So no matter what time your clock say, I'm happy that you find your way to us every single time. It's big love to you for that. Blue answered my question. Does it hurt Kamala or Biden more or less to participate or not participate in the debate? Like, who does it hurt?
Kamala
And I think, yeah, it's Kamala or Trump. I might have said Biden. Blue said it hurts Kamala more and that Kamala needs to find a running mate. I think that's the news that we have to hear. Now, I will say, I was listening to NPR and they were talking about how the just like the delicate vetting process for running mates and how that takes place over like 6, 7, sometimes 8 months, where candidates are really thinking about and auditing individuals, and they've had to jam pack all of that shit into like days. And we know how important and crucial that decision is, if not to figure out, you know what I'm saying, what the pieces are, who's going to be shaping the future of the nation, but just in terms of optics and what it looks like. And so I can only imagine how hectic it is, because some people are just like, bruh, I know I'd be like, no, I'm good. Catch me when shit ain't hectic. I know you like me. I know I'm a bad bitch, but I I this is too much. Like, I don't even like how tumultuous this is. Catch me when we just doing some regular everyday campaigning, because
Yeah.
you're not about to throw me and my family and my whole situation, because I feel like that's what it is. You realize, like, your life is gone. You know what I'm saying? You've had no time to prepare. You've had no time to clean and scrub social media. You had no time to, coach your family and get them prepared for the new life they about to, like, you've had zero time to really equip and orient yourself towards such a high threshold. You're not just making that decision for yourself. You're making that decision for everything and everybody around you that you touch, and you got to do it in days and do it
Yeah.
well. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's pressure. The hell no. Y'all got it. Call me later. I hope it goes
Yeah.
well. Y'all keep me in the group chat, but I'm not coming.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm good.
I think even even if we look at Kamala's worst reality, you know what I'm saying, like worst impact, worst thing that she's ever been a part of, we can easily argue that Donald Trump has had an even more negative impact on black communities. I mean, I definitely don't want to make excuses for the crime and punishment system that we have in the United States.
Yeah.
I'm one of those type of leftists that argue that the way that we see crime and punishment is a question of the order of the plantation. You feel me? And in order to make sure that those type of plantation politics exist, that's the reason why prisons exist. That's the reason why when they said that you can slavery is outlawed except if you commit a crime. It's the reason why the niggas that was once slaves are the most criminalized people. That's the reality of living in the United States. So if you want to talk to me about a candidate and their impact on niggas getting locked up or niggas staying out of jail, you at least got to show me a candidate that's net better. Niggas ain't showing a candidate that's net better than Kamala Harris.
I don't think so.
Like, even if we saying, because I never say Kamala Harris is a progressive candidate. I say she's moderate liberal at best. But shit, if we comparing two candidates, there's more progressivism in the moderate liberal of Kamala Harris than it is in fucking Donald Trump. Like, when we can look at things like Project 2025 and recognize that this is just a tip of the iceberg. Project 2025 is attempting to get rid of the 7 tax groups that we have currently and reduce it down to 2. And in doing so, raising taxes on people who make less than $80,000-$90,000 a year, while lowering taxes for people that make $300,000 plus a year. Y'all got us fucked up. This isn't just about Kamala being in this spot representing black people and being the most black thing ever. If you think that's even a fucking possibility, get out of the voting process, period. Because you just complicating it. You don't know you must not know where the fuck you at to think that that's what you're going to get in any capacity. To any capacity. You know what I mean? So when we see these types of engagements and experiences, and we're asking why do black people have an aversion to people like Donald Trump? Why do black people have an aversion to the people who support Donald Trump? It's because of shit like this. That even white people and even other conservatives and even and other Republicans, pundits can look at and say, that ain't it.
That ain't it.
So yeah, go ahead, close this out, please.
I'll close this out with a couple of comments. Miss Ma'am said, for the undecided voters and people still on the fence, it'll hurt Donald Trump not to show up for a debate. Hopefully Kamala up there debating herself and talking policy will sway those voters. So Miss Ma'am looks at it as an opportunity for Kamala to capitalize on the ability to get some people on her side who is just like, I maybe wasn't voting for nobody. I wasn't gonna vote for all. Okay, Dem's got something going on. There's this perception that she'll be able to seal the deal. Sat 12 said Trump was right when he said that which vice president is picked catches attention when picked, but very little impact on election results, since they do very little. I kind of agree with that, but kind of don't, especially in this particular instance. I agree with it in the sense that I think it will kind of influence who gets voted for, in the sense that, like, JD Vance is so ass and in such a crucial and integral time. Like, this is unprecedented. I think we gotta press our unprecedented button right now, because this is a race of inches and not miles. And so I think that picking the right, there's been a lot of kind of conversations about who Kamala can and can't pick. I think, and I like this idea that Pete Buttigieg be Secretary of State, but not be a vice president, right? You do need a straight white man that represents some Midwestern core United States American values. It's
Values,
not a cat
yeah.
person or a cat lady or
It's a
whatever the fuck
strategy.
JD
It
Vance
has to
trying to
be a
say.
strategic pick.
It's strategic. And so I
Yeah.
think you want those bumps and boosts, you want those pushes, and I think they do matter this time more than they've ever before. And so I agree with you, but only insofar as this is a regular election and it's just not. Melodia says this most recent Trump mess is a good simulation for what their debate will look like. Kamala hitting him with irrefutable facts and Trump failing with his special brand of respectability politic. And I think that'll absolutely be it. He's gonna try to make her seem like an angry black woman. He's gonna try to make her seem like she's an angry woman in general, that she's irate, can't control herself, is overly passionate. He's gonna attempt to be just as passionate and be just as fucking problematic, but he's going to have the ability, because of the racialized and gendered components of it, distance that and be just a serious white man about business and try to kind of pivot out of taking her serious when she tries to take him to task. I could totally see that happening. Cash says, I think people forgot about Trump's involvement dealing with the exonerated five. They forgot how him and his father had to pay black families because of his discrimination. He forgot about the Central Park Five, or you know what I'm
The
saying, and the ways that those
government
people were treated.
called Donald Trump racist. The
You feel
government
me?
called him out for being racist. Nigga, what is y'all talking about?
Like the story of those young men who Central Park Five, exonerated five, all the same people, but lived lives, right, that reverberated and changed the way that people were having conversations about racialization in the city of New York for a long time. Not to mention the different tenants and people who lived under in Donald Trump properties that were gotten over on. You know what I'm saying? These are the small
Yeah.
moments. If y'all want to talk about Kamala locking up black people, which is a false talking point that, you know what I'm saying, has been debunked and stuff like that, then make sure you talk about them old Trump cases too. You know what I'm saying? Where why you trying to compare and contrast and get, mesmerized by the bullshit. He talking about nitpicking his little past criminal issues as well, not just the
Yeah.
present ones, but the past ones too. Um, let's see. It's simple. Trump will look weak if he does not debate Harris, so he might change his mind about it. Harris pick is thought to be maybe Shapiro, maybe Kelly, or one more. A lot of things to
Westmoreland.
determine
Westmoreland is the
who
other one. Governor of
The governor of
Maryland.
Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and I know we've also seen a couple people pass it down or be like, "Nah, we ain't doing that shit." I know Newsom from here in California was like, "Nah, I'm smooth." And I think it's
Nah, he
like two
won his
more
own
people whose
shot.
names.
He won his own shot.
Yeah,
He tried to run for
he
president.
wanted
That was
clean.
bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he wanted clean, and so
Yeah.
sure. And then the last thing Miss Ma'am said was Cash Money just agreeing with the conversations about the Central Park Five. I'm not sure why this is not being blasted everywhere all the time. They bringing up folks past. Let's air his out completely, past, present, and predictions about the future. Let's just not pay attention to what Donald Trump has done and how these become prophetic for the world that is to come, especially when you connect it to shit like Project 2025, especially when you connect it to shit like the way that he behaved in the face of answering questions about black people's concerns. Like this is it's all baked in. You know what I'm saying? We got to stop at some point acting surprised and start acting like we know what the fuck going on. That's all I have to say about that. Find a thumb and hit it, and preferably it's the one on your screen, so that we know that you were here. And then find the bell and hit it if you ain't hit it yet. I don't need to hit my bell because I'm on the Chop Up Show. But if you're not on the Chop Up Show, you might miss the Chop Up Show. So you want to hit that so that you can be subscribed, be locked in, because we like to have these discussions on Thursday nights, but sometimes it'll happen on a Friday night or a Saturday evening or a Sunday night.
And we
start the week.
working people. We working people. We got shit to do.
And we recognize y'all working people too. So we try to have some consistency. But for the times we fail you, stay locked in.
Stay locked in.
Yeah. Let's see. Trump claims when he was president, he funded HBCUs. Roland Martin said it was 90 million. And this was from Sat 12.
Yeah,
Don't know the context of that?
Yeah, Donald Trump made a comment about funding HBCUs earlier. That actually was fact checked and proven to be false. His argument was that HBCUs were almost broke and then he saved them by providing them funding. That's not true. Biden-Harris administration have provided much more funding since in the last 4 years than Trump did. I mean, he did give them some money, yes, but even the Obama administration gave HBCUs funding. Like the HBCUs have been funded throughout the years. Donald Trump did not save them from being despots, nigga. Like, let's stop playing.
Can we stop being impressed that niggas give money? Like, I get it. We want material responses to our realities, but what about niggas who'll never be in a college classroom, never go there, never make it, don't have
Them
no
niggas
desire
can't
to?
benefit from that bread at all.
You know what I'm saying? And so like cool. But I think for the people who want to get wrapped up in that as one of the benchmarks or points where we look through to be like, rah, you help black people. No, doing shit like not blocking access to healthcare is what really helps black people. Doing shit like making sure that childcare can be funded and that it's up quality so people can actually raise up generations that have the ability to survive and thrive in this world where you want two tax brackets. That's some shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Talk to me about that, but don't talk to me about no, you know what I'm saying? Like college debt, like take away college debt, make college free, like do shit like that if you want to uplift black communities. But you can't say this one niche of schools, because remember, you don't agree with affirmative action and shit like that anyway. So which one is it? Are you excited about helping out the black schools, or is that a bad thing that niggas shouldn't do? Can't have it both ways.
Make
Oh
it
my
be a
god.
motherfucking mind.
But you know what I'm saying? Like I just, that's not something that's how is important. We love y'all. Andrea, we appreciate you back. We definitely happy you popped in to say what's up. Anybody else in here, even if you didn't say what's good, we love y'all. Thank you so much for just being in the mix, being one of the numbers that's here with us rocking late at night. We know on the East Coast it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and out here in the PST it's still 10:17
It's 10. It's
on a
late.
school
Yeah.
on a school night.
On a school night.
So we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Plug last words, no last words. Tell these people about so we can get up out of here.
Yeah, man. If we're gonna understand blackness, let's understand it from a black perspective, not from a white perspective. Yeah. Oh, let me just say this about the one drop rule. This is the last thing I'm gonna say. When it comes to the one drop rule, the one drop rule was not meant to harm black people. It's a fear that whiteness has of blackness. There's this thing called the Great Replacement Theory. A part of that theory is white women or even black men having kids or white men having kids with black people. The reason why they fear having kids with black people is because they know that their whiteness is recessive. The traits that make up whiteness are recessive, not white people. Like the traits for that make up their phenotype are recessive. So that means that when the introduction of the genes that come from people, African people, for example, it wipes they shit out. White people are scared of being wiped out. That's why they fear you. That's why the one drop rule is an understanding that there is no whiteness in places where blackness exists genetically. That's why most white people, like mixed race people, can pass as white. But if you find out you got a black parent, white people is on your ass. If y'all ain't never seen Imitation of Life, y'all go check that movie out. So this whole one drop rule, like when it comes to Kamala, that's not a knock on Kamala. Well, all you're doing is reflecting the fear of whiteness of itself being wiped out. That's the last thing.
Also, him calling her Kamala is a dog whistle. That's some bullshit too, and it's something that we see throughout this shit. But he know how to pronounce that lady name and be calling her Kamala on purpose. More shit to talk about another time. Hopefully, we'll have a debate to get into. Hopefully, we'll have a DNC to talk about. And shit, ain't no telling what can happen in the next between the next time we talk to each other. So thank y'all. We love y'all. Listen, we're about this thing. Until next time, it's the Chop Up Show. Tap in.
It's the Chop Up Show. We're gonna see y'all next time. Hey, and if y'all not subscribed to Consciously, subscribe to Consciously. Hopefully, y'all will see us on Consciously's platform Saturday.
This weekend, perhaps.
We're gonna see. But we out. It's the Chop Up. All right.